are being recorded in our own motherland. Okay. Now let's talk about the front page of the Daily Nation and the Standard as well. Shock cabinet reshuffle, Musalia's big win. The Standard is calling it a winner for Musalia and a loser for Alfred Mutua, winner for Alice Wahome, and a loser for Moses Kuria. And I'll start with you, Murungi, on this. Is this the best move
I was
that the
respond to something
did?
before saying,
you want the right of reply?
Yes.
On
No. You see, one of the failures of Kenya Kwanza government or regime, of which Senator Murungi is a ranking member, they have failed the test of regional and ethnic diversity as a constitutional principle. Even as we discuss the cabinet, they would have used that opportunity to correct the wrongs they did in the appointment that did not reflect the regional and ethnic diversity as a constitutional principle. They didn't do that. We have seen, reshuffle, and we have said, for us, reshuffle is not enough. We know in terms of appointing public officers and state officers, they must look at suitability, competency, capability, and personal integrity. There are faces in that cabinet that has been reshuffled, Trevor Mbija, that failed the test of integrity, failed the test of suitability, failed the test of capability. And therefore, Kenyans were hoping that having witnessed some of the state officers in the name of cabinet secretaries making utterances that are in total violation of the provisions of leadership integrity, this was the only opportunity that Honorable Ruto would have used to dismiss as per the Constitution. Number two, Kenyans would have wished that Honorable Ruto would have used the opportunity in this reshuffle to also correct the inclusivity that is lacking. As Azimio, if you listened to our presentation at the dialogue talks, we did say that there's an urgent need to ensure that we practice inclusivity in this country. And we gave an example of appointments, particularly in the permanent secretaries. Some of them have been reshuffled. If 26 of them are from two communities, for example.
You give me this slot.
No, I was to speak. So I was just trying to clear my space.
Where I work, I'm actually the deputy speaker in the Senate.
Yes.
And when a member intervenes that he has a point of order, what he has is not a point of order, because he wanted to do a rejoinder. He is now contributing point of argument. So I think whatever he is saying, he could have gotten his chance to also to say that, because you asked a very important question. But you can proceed. Proceed and finish.
Okay.
So
Speaker, thank you.
It's time to
I think he likes what I'm saying because it is true. And just to take it back, Trevor, this issue of inclusivity is not only applicable in appointment, even in resources. We have seen that. So what we are saying is that the people of Kenya have had it very difficult to embrace Kenya Kwanza regime because of lack of inclusivity that is a requirement of the law. And therefore, even as we talk about this cabinet reshuffle, in our view, it is just like any other reshuffle, because you are just reassigning unsuitability, reassigning incompetency, reassigning, lack of personal integrity.
Okay. Let me bring in speaker on this. And so, and what Okango is raising is interesting. What do you make of this cabinet reshuffle? And should the president have just taken the bull by the horns and said, so-and-so is not performing, you're hereby fired, so-and-so is employed? Instead of reshuffling what...
Trevor, the sole responsibility to constitute a government is, that is president's mandate. He is the one who knows who he can work with. That is his responsibility. And we cannot be able to go micromanaging at the end of state with who he should appoint where. And when it comes to regional embarrassing, I don't know which region he's talking about, because there are CSCs from where he comes from, actually under very strong PS. And what I can see is that the president is reorganizing his government after 1 year. He's giving his scorecard after 1 year of leadership. What has he achieved? So, if you play football There are substitutes. You do substitutes. You align even the team. A defender can go to midfield. A midfielder, a good one, can go to strike. That is what he's doing to reorganize his team so that he can deliver to Kenyans. And the veterans, are making this a big story that Musalia has a big win, others are losing. What I can say is that if you are serving as a CS, you should be ready to go to any ministry that you are assigned.
You don't think Musalia is winning in any way? There's a ministry of...
He has been handed some responsibility, which is good. You know, Musalia is a good diplomat. The foreign affairs is a good docket for him. Actually, previously, I have seen him going to so many countries to represent the president. And I think it is a good thing for him as the chief cabinet secretary to handle that docket. So the president has seen some good attributes in Musalia. And then now Dr. Alfred Mutua will do tourism and on drive. Yeah? So to me, there is nobody who is winning or losing, but realigning the government. And also, let me say, if also maybe you shouldn't be sacked, at least you are given a first warning. If you have been moved to a very ministry that is very visible, and then you go to another, you go there and make it visible. Yeah, there is no ministry which is banned anyway.
So it's not reshuffling incompetence in your view?
Not incompetence, but you are just assigned a different duty because you can do better in that particular field.
If you did not do well in your previous duty, why do you deserve another one?
No, what I'm saying is that if you in the document that you had, maybe you have another capability, different one, and then you go and pray in that number. Yeah. So let us leave this to the president. Nobody is winning, nobody is losing. But if you feel, any CS feels that has been affected, then you should perform better than what you have done.
All right. Honorable Bokelo, what do you make of the cabinet reshuffle? Is it the right move by the president or the wrong move? Or is he just not, is he scared of taking the hard decisions? Like you didn't manage well in this ministry, therefore you're out of my cabinet.
Good. Ruto is in catch-22 situation.
Yeah.
Balancing coalition politics is very, very difficult. Remember, there are big four within Kenya Kwanza. That is Ruto himself, Rigiji, the deputy, Musalia, Mudavadi, and the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Wetangula. These are people who, even though number one and number two belong to the same political party, they, mopped up and mobilized their own bases in support of Ruto's declaration. I'm not saying a win, Ruto's declaration as president. So you have these peoples whose interests you must always meet, even when certain times you disagree with their style of work. So that is the situation that Ruto is in at the moment. And that is why there are attempts, including what happened last week, to now melt all the parties under Kenya Kwanza and remain with one outfit called UDA. Called UDA. Because he understands how complex running a coalition party is, as opposed to having a single unit called UDA. So Ruto got into office 4 months later, after gobbling up a cabinet. He then called them to train them on how to work. I have a friend of mine in the US who just called me last night telling me that he has found a job to go pilot a plane in a different airline. And he's telling me that even though he's a pilot, he will have 90 days training with the new employer. 90 days of training before he can be given that. He's a pilot, but still has to undergo a training for 90 days. Now, Ruto waited for 4 months to take people to Sagana, to have them trained to be cabinet secretaries. 4 months later, whatever had to go wrong had already gone wrong. Whatever was to be messed up, already messed up. So he took 4 months to take them for this kind of training. Now, we also have to remember that President Ruto came out and said that the cabinet that I have is clueless. That came from none other than himself. Then immediately, Well, he didn't say some. Yeah, so don't speak for him. And by the way, he has a new spokesperson called Isaac Mwaura, who is my friend, so he can say that. So he then goes ahead, even after doing so, even after, you know, giving a swipe at his cabinet, gives them new contracts to sign. My friend, if I have found you incapable of handling affairs within your docket, I relieve you of your duties. Go home and take care of your cattle. Okay. But Ruto goes ahead to give them new contracts to sign, even though he has confirmed that these people are below par. Remember that various polling have been done as regards performance of his cabinet secretaries. Kindiki Kithure is the only one who has ever scored a C-. A C- is a sister to D+. That's a real failure. And he's the best, by the way, at C-. All these are either D, E, I wish there was F, they could have gone there, but all of them are just D and E. But this is the same cabinet that instead of doing a complete overhaul, he gives them other dockets, just because of the complexity within a political coalition. Okay. So, as I said, Ruto is in campaign mode. Don't expect anything good to come out of it, and we are in for the longest haul.
Okay. Speaker, I'll give you a chance to respond.
You know, Trevor, I cannot at any time wish Jared could say anything better about the government. He is in the opposition, he is in the minority side, and that shouldn't be his work. But I think he should be happy that President Ruto then is not performing. If you are in the opposition and you want to take power in 2027, you should be happy that the government is not performing.
But I'm happy.
You should not lament that.
No, I'm happy. I'm laughing.
Because which are not there. Because and what should happen is really to have strong oversight of the government. I think you shouldn't be, if you want to be very correct, you shouldn't just bring issues that the government has not been able to do. Yeah? Is it in education? Which challenges do you have in education? Which challenges do you have in maybe these owned wazes money? You know, those are the real issues that we shouldn't be really conversing so that we can help the country. Yeah. What I can say is that let us give President William Ruto time. Yeah, already he has pulled a very good start. And so far that 1 year, if you ask me, the president has really performed. He has organized himself, he has organized his government, he has organized even the international partners. From now this second year to the 5th year, you'll be surprised. Okay. And because I know you'll get the second term, when President William Ruto serves for 10 years, I'm telling you, Kenya will be left where Kibaki left. Okay. There was a problem when some arrangement was done during President Uhuru's time. Yeah, because we didn't know even opposition, everything was passing. There was no coordination. Yeah. But I think this time around, the president is very, very focused. And I wish the Azimio coalition can take up the mantle of official opposition. Let that office be established so that they can also check the excesses of the government. Yeah. Allow now Raila Odinga to be the chief opposition leader with an office established with his Shandu cabinet. I don't know which ministry my friend Jared Okero would like to Shandu, so that also we can see his performance as a Shandu minister. If we do that, Kenya will be very far ahead, I'm telling you, Jared, in terms of development.
All right, there's a statement from Musalia Mudavadi, Prime Cabinet Secretary, that has just been posted on his Twitter handle just about 10 minutes ago. Let me bring that up and read part of it for you so that you see what he has said. Musalia Mudavadi says, I'm deeply honored and humbled to have been entrusted by His Excellency President William Ruto with an expanded role in the reshuffled cabinet. I express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency for the trust placed in me by assigning me the additional vital role of the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. I am fully aware of the significance of my dual role, and I embrace the opportunity with a profound sense of duty and dedication. I pledge to continue serving the people of Kenya and our country with an unwavering commitment, integrity, and diligence. I will champion, pursue, and protect the interest of Kenyans, both within our borders and abroad. Pamoja tudumishe hadi ya Kenya ndani na nje ya mipaka yetu. Swahili ni ngumu, but yes, that's it. So let's wrap this up because we are running out of time here, and I'd like to hear your review of how NADCO has performed this far. Have they taken in all the accounts of what is needed? Because their final report is not out yet. But are you impressed with how they have conducted the hearings, what the people want, and will their issues be addressed? Okango, just very briefly as we wrap up.
Thank you. Actually, we are not happy that, just to respond to what the Deputy Speaker was saying, we are not happy that the government is not performing. But we are concerned, and as you listened to, I'm sure you must have listened to my coalition leader, Raila Odinga, last evening. He said, we are concerned because majority of the people are suffering. And as a leader, you cannot be happy when the people are suffering, irrespective of which part of the political affiliation belong. Lastly, to comment on the NADCO performance. Trevor, the issue at Bomas is an issue of national interest, and that is called National Dialogue Committee. The public were invited to give their views. The framework agreement that was signed by the two parties provided for public to give their views, and that was facilitated by the members of that committee. They did very well, they have done well so far, and we have seen the views being received, and those views, we hope, will be parts of the unbundled issues that are more than the 5 harmonized issues from the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya.
Okay.
And lastly, I have heard people saying that, now we only wait for the report so that we know where to head. Remember, in the framework agreement, there was that provision for participation of the people. That was it. And those issues will now be brought. And I also want to believe that the team will now categorize them into what is constitutional, what is legislative, what is policy, what is administrative. And some of those issues will find themselves in Parliament, Senate, and National Assembly, so that they can be addressed at that level. Okay. And others might find themselves in the constitutional amendment, and therefore, we are also likely to have a referendum because of some of the issues affect or touches on the provisions of 255. And lastly, as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, we have put issues of substance, issues of concern, and we have said that one of the key issues that we have been talking about, and this was repeated yesterday again by my coalition leader Raila Odinga, cost of living, which has been our #1 priority, that if addressed, and I want to ask my good friend, the Deputy Speaker here, who is a friend of Honorable Ruto, he can also remind him that the country is suffering. Look at the taxation, look at the fuel prices. That has affected the cost of living. So that even as we are concerned, because we're not happy, they address that immediately. Number 2, we are talking about the audit of the 2022 presidential election. That one is an issue that Kenyans would want to move into the next election, having known the truth and having had a way of fixing that problem so that it doesn't occur in the future.
All right.
Among others, party fidelity, multi-party democracy, inclusivity, all these issues. Okay. So generally, to sum it up, we strongly believe that that exercise at Bomas, the two co-chairs, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka and Ichung'wah, they have done very well, even though a political process, you will always expect a bit of confrontation there, but they have done very well so far. We want to see the implementation. We want to trust that our friends from Kenya Kwanza will treat this product with the importance they deserve so that Kenyans can realize solutions to the concerns that they have put that committee.
We'll see what the report encounters, but Okello, in terms of how they've performed, are you happy with the performance of the National Dialogue Committee?
Just a quick one before I get there, because I know we're winding up. Number 1, lots of issues may have precipitated the reshuffle of yesterday. You remember we have had lots of diplomatic gifts with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from the Canadian jobs that never were to non-recognition of Zarawi as a state, to Moses Kuria's assertion that we are going to bomb Khartoum if the warring factions refuse to come together. So there needed to be something to be done. But I would be more worried if I were to come from central Kenya. Unfortunately, I'm not. Alice Wahome Honorable Alice Wahome, the CS, former CS Water, now former, did complain that her PS rerouted a budget for water that was meant for central Kenya and took them somewhere in Rift Valley. Now, instead of the president calling the PS to order, Alice has been removed from that docket. I would be very worried if I was in her shoes, because to me, that is a riots act being properly read to me. That you complain the more, we will show you the doors. Mudavadi's elevation is not happenstance. It's not just coincidental. This is something that has properly been planned. You remember, even when Moses Kuria had all these, spats here and there, the only person who came to his defense was the deputy president. And he told him in a public function that you are going nowhere. Now, he has been transferred, even though the deputy president asserted him that you are here to stay. I would be very worried if I was coming from central Kenya. But suffice to say, Musalia Mudavadi, if all these lamentations constantly coming from central Kenya would reach a level, or a high-octane level within State House, then Mudavadi is a probable replacement of Gachagua. That is why there are numerous trips to Western Kenya. I know this is something they don't want to hear, but let me tell them the truth, however much it hurts. Now, the talks at Bomas of Kenya have been championed by Kenyans. You know, they did not just happen. Yeah. There were certain pertinent concerns that were being raised by Kenyans as regards cost of living and general governance. Now, after all this, we chose to have a team comprising of both parties to come together on a round table to discuss issues touching on Kenyans. Yeah. These are issues beyond the 10 people on that table. Correct. And they have to remember that they are there on our own behalf. They are there on trust. Whatever comes out will be reflective of the wishes and aspirations of Kenyans. Let them not think that, when there is a spat between Omar and Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, that is a personal issue. No. Yeah. We did not send them there for their own personal aggrandizements. Okay. They must discuss Kenyan issues wholesome. Yeah. Let the resultant feature emanating from those talks be reflective of wishes.
Honorable Murungi, I'll give you a final word.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Issues that Jared
He's part of the worried team.
Are you worried?
Must be very worried.
Central Kenya encompasses, we call it the Mount Kenya region. Yes. I come from that important region. Meru is a great stakeholder in this government because we give this Kenya Kwanza 400,000 votes from Meru County only. And we are not complaining. We are okay. The president and the deputy are taking us the way we want them because these are our friends. Yeah, it is not a forced marriage. These are the president and the deputy are our friends. And we meet them whenever we have issues, we meet, we sit and iron out our issues amicably. We are not complaining. I don't know why Gerald should give us problems. So we have no headache. Yeah. We have no stomachache. We are giving this government time. Yeah. Even the promises that we have as a region, Mount Kenya region, we know this will be sorted out. And we are giving the president time to reorganize his government to make sure that all ranges in the mountain and also the whole country, let everybody get the development. If I was Jared, I could just fly to Ruo Nyanza also to discuss the development that he needs in Nyando and the challenges that he has. Yeah. So because you are representing your people, never run away from the government which has resources to help your people, Mr. Honorable Jared. So if I were you, actually I can take you and then we can go and meet the president.
In your chopper.
Yeah. Yeah. So that we can go and so. But then I'm happy also with the National Dialogue Committee. Yes. So far as I put it in my discussion this morning here, that I'm happy that the two coalitions are now talking. This is what we have been yearning for. And I'm happy that the two co-chairs, they have amicably completed this discussion, and now we are waiting actually for implementation. What we want is Kenya to be everybody to be at peace with one another. Let us develop this country. We don't have another country to run to. My children, your children will be here in Kenya for the rest of the time. So let us iron out our differences, political differences, we score them during elections. Okay. If you win, we team up with you to develop the country. If I win, just join me, we develop the country. Okay. I think that should be the spirit of Congo, and I wish you well. Maybe next time, organize yourselves very well, Jared. Jared, yeah? If you don't organize yourselves and you start keeping lamenting, even next elections, we will just sweep you very hard in the morning.
As he wishes as well, we also tell them, let them deliver the promises. Because without the promises,
the final say.
They are there without nothing.
Yeah, that is actually what I've also seen, that promises should be met.
All right. Honorable Kithure Muringi, Senator Meru, and Deputy Speaker, Senator Sante Sana for making time. Honorable Jared Okello, Member of Parliament for Nyando, and Fred Okango, Political Affairs Secretary at Kano. Speaker. Time. The special apologies from Honorable Silvano Sosori couldn't make it this morning, but that has been State of the Nation. My name is Trevor Mbija. Thank you for watching. Coming up next is Cooking Tips.